Inspiration.com.
Back to Woody Allen territory. Now, there are movies of his that they're supposed to be great, and I just don't watch them. I keep going back to the same sort of tried and true movies that I know, that I love, like Manhattan, like Stardust Memories, like Love and Death. But there's one movie in particular that everybody said was great, and I've had it for years, and I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't watch it. And last night I said to myself, let's put on something different. Let's put on something that you haven't watched before. So that brings me to Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Again, my 9-volume Woody Allen collection. The man is nothing if not prolific. This was a good movie. Everybody was right. This was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. So the movie is set in Spain, and Scarlett Johansson and Rebecca Hall are these two American college students who go to Spain. Rebecca Hall is sort of working on her thesis. Scarlett Johansson is just along for the ride, and they meet Javier Bardem, who is this sort of semi-famous painter. And one night in a restaurant, he just comes up to them and says, I'm gonna go to this little town. Doesn't know them, just comes up to them out of nowhere. I'm gonna go to this little town. Why don't you come with me for the weekend? We'll have some good food. We'll, see some good art. We'll make love. And, Rebecca Hall is sort of horrified by this. Like, I have a fiance. I don't even know you. And Scarlett Johansson is intrigued. She's like, let's go. Yeah. So they go. And Scarlett Johansson gets sick. He ends up sleeping with Rebecca Hall. And but Rebecca Hall, she's very conflicted. She sort of has fallen in love with him, but at the same time, she's engaged to this nice but dull man back in the States. And she has her life sort of planned and set up. And what does she do? Meantime, Javier Bardem then pursues Scarlett Johansson. They end up living together, but Javier Bardem has a certifiably insane ex-wife, played by Penelope Cruz, and she tries to kill herself, and because of that, Javier Bardem feels like, okay, we've got to have her come live with us. She's got nowhere else to go. And the three of them end up in a romance together. And the movie is, first of all, it's beautifully shot. Anybody who says, oh, Woody Allen is a very boring filmmaker, very, just sort of has the camera there, blah, blah, beautifully shot. Everything is sort of saturated with yellows and oranges, and the light, you just sort of, you feel the light. I was just sitting there watching the movie, like I could feel the warmth on my face. Beautifully shot. And also the script is so sharp. I talked in my Rainy Day in New York review about how maybe he shouldn't write young people, because Timothée Chalamet, the words coming out of his mouth didn't sound like they belonged to a 20-something-year-old man. They sounded like they belonged to an 80-something-year-old man. Not a problem in this movie. These people sound contemporary. They there actually is no Woody Allen character. Rebecca Hall is maybe the closest to a Woody Allen surrogate, but even that, I don't think, not in the sort of imitating kind of quality that a lot of his actors do. This is a very sort of romantic, sexy movie that asks a lot of interesting questions about love, as far as like, is really passionate love something that is not sustainable? Is it something that is amazing in the moment, but it's not something you can have for a lifetime? That in the end, for that lifetime, you need somebody who's just a little bit more of a dork, who's just, who's very nice and loving and caring, but he's not gonna thrill you. This goes to show what I've said, what a lot of people have said. Woody knows how to write women. He always has, as far back as Annie Hall. He's written believable women that really, Vicky Cristina Barcelona, if you didn't know that this was written and directed by Woody Allen, you would assume that it was some woman in her 20s who wrote and directed it. It really gets it. And, there's this sort of stigma attached to some of these Woody Allen movies now. To Woody in general, obviously because of controversy and everything. I read his autobiography, by the way, and I encourage anybody who doubts his story to read that book, because the stuff that I learned, I already was on his side, but the stuff that you learn when you read that book, you're like, oh my. To me, it removes all doubt as far as his innocence. He in my opinion, did not do this. And the book really, the case that he lays out really proves it. But one of the criticisms of the book was, ew, he's gross, because, he's always referring to women as beautiful and sexy, and, and he's old. Okay, first of all, yeah, he's an older man. Back in, like, his heyday, saying that about a woman was a compliment. Okay, now it's not maybe considered, you're not supposed to say that about a woman that you don't know or you're not with or whatever. Woody appreciates the beauty of women, and he doesn't care. He has no interest in trying to play that down or play nice with current political correctness. And with Vicky Cristina Barcelona, again, I think some people go, ew, they think he's perving out maybe. He's filming something very sensual and not in just in a sexual way. Sensual in that many things can be sensual. Food, locations. And he kind of captures all of that. Music can be sensual. He captures that beautifully in the movie. This is just a really, really good movie from a filmmaker at the top of his game at this point. When you look at this is the most beautifully shot Woody Allen movie I've ever seen. And considering the really rich black and white of Manhattan and Stardust Memories, that is really saying something. I think it's a shame that Woody doesn't do this more often. I think that maybe instead of trying to knock a movie out every year, if he really took his time and said, I think if he looked at Rainy Day in New York, if he wasn't rushing through, gotta get the script ready, we're already casting, we're gonna be filming, blah, blah, blah. I think if he just took a moment and looked at Rainy Day in New York, he'd go, oh, yeah, this isn't really worth my time. Maybe I'll wait and see if I can be inspired to do something. Because Vicky Cristina Barcelona is inspiration on his part. It is a movie that he was passionate about, that he wanted to make. Whereas Rainy Day in New York, you get the feeling he's just working, because that's what movie making is to him. It's a job. You know, he gets up every day at the same time and he starts writing, and it's a job. And he's a very sort of middle class filmmaker in that way, in that to him it's, you know, it's something that he has to constantly be doing, the way that other people get up and go to the factory or get up and go to work, you know. 4.5 out of 5. Not perfect, you know. But the acting is so good, and Penelope Cruz won an Oscar, and rightfully so. Really, Javier Bardem deserved also to be nominated. I don't think he was. And Scarlett Johansson, again, this is Woody brings out something in Scarlett Johansson that no other filmmaker has that I've seen. In fact, lately they've been making Scarlett Johansson sort of frumpier and frumpier in movies, even in the Avengers movies, you know, in like Iron Man 2, when you see her for the first time, she's this sort of this animal, you know. There's something in the eyes and everything. And by the time you get to Avengers Endgame, she's everybody's mom, you know, on the team. So Woody brings something out. I would love to see the two of them work together. She is one of the actors, actually the whole cast other than Rebecca Hall, really the main cast of Johansson, Javier Bardem, and Penelope Cruz. They were 3 actors who have stood by Woody and said that they would work with him again. I wish that he would work with all of them again, especially since he seems to have to make movies abroad now. Go back to Spain, make another movie in Spain, bring this cast together just in a different story. I'd watch it in a second now. I think, like I said, there are movies of his that you worry that maybe it's a later day movie, maybe he doesn't have it in him, maybe I thought Match Point was a little bit overhyped. This one isn't. This one's a great movie. I recommend it to everybody. If you're not a Woody Allen fan, doesn't matter. He's not in it. He doesn't have there's no Woody Allen surrogate in it. This is just a really good, romantic, beautiful movie. Go check it out.
Other worlds. Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,